The hag is astride, this night for to ride, the devil and she together. Through thick and through thin, now out and then in, though ne'er so foul be the weather. A thorn or a burr she takes for a spur, with a lash of bramble she rides now. Through brakes and through briars, o'er ditches and mires, she follows the spirit that guides now. No beast for his food dares now range the wood, but hushed in his lair he lies lurking, while mischief by these, on land and on seas, at no one of night are working. The storm will arise and trouble the skies this night and more for the wonder. The ghost from the tomb, affrighted, shall come, called out by the clap of the thunder. The Hag, by Robert Herrick.
Halloween, the time of year where the veil between the living and the dead becomes thin, the air becomes colder, and the atmosphere becomes spooky. This holiday has misguided associations with evil, and perhaps not so misguided associations with mischief. These negative connections made to this holiday have spawned various urban legends, legends of poison candy and satanic activity. But is there any truth to these contemporary myths? Let's find out tonight on this sickly sweet episode of Snipe Hunt.
Welcome, ghouls, goblins, and other creatures of the night, to Snipe Hunt, your truly frightening folklore podcast. I am your ghostly guide to sweet treats, Darren Young.
And I am your ghastly guide to terrifying tricks, Gary Klevenstein. And joining us today is my friend Lindsay from the podcast Quib Talk. Welcome, Lindsay.
Thank you.
I was like, did we lose her?
Yeah.
No, just trying not to interrupt.
No, all good. Welcome to the show. Before we get started, why don't you tell us a little bit about Quib Talk?
It's basically a show that me and one of my friends decided to start in like January, I think, just to have a way to connect and hang out together because she lives in Chicago and I'm here in Arkansas. So we're far away and we both, I guess, like attention. So we wanted to do it where other people could witness it. I don't know. But we do one show a week where we watch a movie or like a limited series or something that's trending that week and then kind of review that. And then we do another episode where it's basically us just blabbing about anything and everything. We try to stay on hot topics like in the media and stuff, but we're very bad about that. So usually we're just blabbing. That's about it.
I listen to podcasts all day at work, and so I was like, I'm gonna listen to Lindsay's podcast. So I put on an episode, and go figure, the one that I pick is like 10 minutes long. you guys were like talking about a TV show on Netflix or something. I don't know, but it was like 11 minutes long. That's like,
yeah, it's probably the shortest one we have ever made because typically Megan, like, she never stops talking. So when we first started recording,
that when I checked it out,
she never ever stops talking. So when we first started, like, we would record, it would literally be like 3 to 4 hours, and I'd have to cut it down and try and get it like around an hour because I'm like,
wow,
we can't have a 4-hour podcast. Like, that's ridiculous.
Joe Rogan does it.
Well, I'm not Joe Rogan.
Yeah, and I don't listen to Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I don't either. My ex-boss was obsessed with him, but I'm not a fan. But no, she never ever stops talking, and it works out because I half the time don't really know what to say, so I just let her blab and I'll chime in. And then I have one friend who loves to watch just to see my surprised expressions whenever she tells me something and it's not anything I'm expecting, and so I'm like genuinely shocked.
Well, then you're gonna be perfect here because that's what we need is just you chiming in.
Yeah, you guys do video too, right?
Yeah, we do video.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
We're gonna move to video eventually, but for now, I think we're just gonna keep it audio. But yeah, I caught a lot of the episode about Britney Spears's conservatorship. or whatever it's called.
I haven't listened to that.
No, that was interesting because I actually didn't really know much about it. So listen to you guys
and that's
talk about it.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a
In
weird
fact, we need to do an
situation.
update on that because it's totally changed.
Oh yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
I'm not
And
going
I
to go into
actually-
that though because that's not what this episode's about.
You can talk all day about it, I bet.
Yeah.
I actually met Lindsay probably about 6 or 7 years ago.
Probably longer
Fi-
than that
like,
because
yeah.
I was 3 or 4 relationships ago. So
Yeah, we
it's probably like 10 years.
we met through karaoke.
Oh,
Yeah,
that makes sense.
An app for karaoke. That's so.
Yeah.
You're in Southern Arkansas and we're in Northwest.
No,
Arkansas.
I'm not. I'm in Northeast.
You're in North.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm by Missouri, but I'm by the Boot Hill of Missouri, like close to
Okay,
Tennessee.
so you're on the other corner. All right.
I
Yeah.
get you.
Okay. I was
Yep,
wrong.
the other
Anyways.
All right. Well, welcome to the show, Gary. If you'd like to get us started.
Oh, yeah. Okay. The spookiest of holidays is upon us. Leaves are dying and falling to the ground in decay. It is freezing but cold outside.
It is so cold right now.
Dang, the wind is god awful. Pumpkins are grinning. Candy is quickly leaving store shelves, and everyone is finalizing their costumes. It's Halloween, and tonight we'll be exploring Halloween urban legends.
That's right. We will be discussing a few of the most popular urban legends that have spawned off of All Hallows Eve, exploring their origins and seeing if there's any truth to them. We're definitely running the gambit on the amount of topics for this episode. We do have a bit of a disclaimer. There will be a couple sections of this episode where we'll be talking about suicide and animal cruelty. We won't get too graphic, but I understand if not everyone wants to hear about it. Just a heads up. Also, we got a new 5-star review.
Oh, nice.
A very rare occurrence for us. Not because people don't like us, but it's just people don't usually leave reviews. So thank you, anonymous reviewer, for the love. If you did leave a comment, which you didn't, we would have been able to give you a shout out, but thank you nonetheless. This is a good reminder to all listeners to go leave a review if you haven't already. Trevor.
I'm confused.
Trevor is my friend.
Who's
He
Trevor?
said he's going to leave a review.
Oh.
And he hasn't left a review yet.
Does he?
So I'm calling him out.
Does he actually listen?
Yes, he does. He's in my band. And every band practice, he's like, when's the next episode? I'm like, I'm working on it.
I watched there's one of your guys that do a TikTok. It's the same guy every time. It's just him.
Zach, the guy with the long hair.
Oh, is it Zach? I don't know.
Well, actually, the TikTok might be the short hair guy, which is Tim.
It's a short hair.
Okay, that's Tim. Yeah.
Okay. He's the only guy that makes TikToks.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of TikToks, how's yours coming for the podcast, Gary?
You're right.
How's that going?
I'm building it up, man. I'm building it.
Okay.
Greatest TikToks ever.
I believe you. So what is your guys' favorite candy to get on Halloween?
Trick-or-treating candy, I would say Snickers.
Oh man, those are the rich houses.
Yeah. So imagine you're in costume. You're a little kid, Gary.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 10 years old. I don't know about a little kid. I'm just kidding. But
yeah. Okay, I got you. Yeah.
But you're all dressed up in your little Ninja Turtles costume. And you're going at the door, and you receive your favorite candy of all time. What is it?
It was like Lindsay said. It was Snickers, like the full size candy bars. Like the Snickers or the Reese's or the
There was a so around the corner from my great grandmother's house, there was a guy who worked for like Little Debbie or something, and he would give each kid an entire box of snacks cakes. And it was so
that sounds
cool.
amazing.
Like when you're like 6 or 7 and he gives you this whole box of snack cakes, it's like, holy shit, this is amazing.
I bet those parents were pissed.
Yeah.
That's amazing though.
I'd get upset whenever I'd get like candy corn or the wretched old ladies who give you oranges or apples.
I have never received a piece of fruit. I have received plenty of candy corn. Actually, I don't hate it. I don't like it.
Like sweet tarts? Do you care if you got sweet tarts?
I like sweet tarts.
Do you?
I like sweet tarts.
I'm not picky.
No, okay.
I was boring. I like just the regular, just plain old Hershey's milk chocolate.
Smarties?
Smarties were all right. But just the plain chocolate was my favorite ones because that's what I was really after. Everything else like nougat or peanuts or caramel was just all in the way of the chocolate. So, well, we are about to talk about candy. So let's start out with our main subject, Halloween sadism. Now, other than sounding like a great name for a goth rock or a black metal band, what exactly is this phenomenon?
Well, I have the answer for you. Halloween sadism is the practice of giving out contaminated or tampered candy or other harmful objects to children on Halloween during the traditional practice of trick-or-treating.
You've probably heard this from your parents dozens of times. Let us check your candy before you start eating it. They'd then dig through your delicious bounty, carefully examining each sweet morsel, maybe even holding some up to the light, looking for any small holes, slits, or other abnormalities.
They did this because they were concerned, as they heard stories of psychos hiding needles and razor blades inside of candy or even handing out poison treats on Halloween. I heard of people putting drugs in Halloween candy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is
I've never been lucky
BS.
enough to get those.
I was going to say, that is BS. Who's going to give away free drugs?
Look, if they started
Right.
giving out like drug candy, I would be out there trick or treating.
Right.
Mhm.
For free? Are you kidding me?
You may have rolled your eyes at this claim, partially due to disbelief and partially due to your impatience to eat your hard-earned confectionaries. But is any of this true? My ex-wife was big on inspecting, your cousin
Yeah.
was big on
I know her.
yeah, was big on checking the Halloween candy, but I think she was actually legitimately concerned, whereas I wanted first dibs.
That's how I am.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, let me
Like,
check
let's
your
see,
candy.
let me get the Snickers out of here first. They're
Right.
probably not safe. I better take those.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's definitely bad. I'm just gonna
There's
I'll throw that away real
There's
quick.
no air in this one. This one's for me.
Well, let's go ahead and look at one of the few confirmed cases of Halloween sadism, and likely the case that spawned countless urban legends. Here's the headline for a short article published in the New York Times on November 3rd, 1950.
Punish Halloween with witch. Angry parents demand.
That's good.
Okay, thank you.
This article details an incident of a woman who decided to literally play the part of a witch during the Halloween night of 1950, in which she, quote, tortured and tormented innocent children. My kind of lady. No, 13-year-old Roland Colville said that the woman invited his group of costume trick-or-treaters inside and came out of the kitchen holding a pan. She then flicked the pan, which tossed coins up into the air and onto the floor. The naive children rushed to pick up their treasure, only to be met with searing pain as the coins had been heated up on the stove moments before.
Jeez.
The 9 children ran from the house screaming. The identity of the witch was never made public knowledge, but she was arrested and presumably burned at the stake. Just kidding. I mean, we don't know for sure.
I was going to say.
Oh, I was like, in 1950?
This is Halloween sadism, or is she just having a little trick instead of a tree?
Yeah.
I mean, hot coins isn't really that bad. I mean, it did say they were still nursing their wounds afterwards, but I mean, how much damage can hot coins do, really?
Just hurt for a little while.
As I
You'll
don't have
live.
any children and don't want any children, this is hilarious.
Well, let's talk about sharp objects in candy.
Let's do it.
Halloween sadism can take several forms, and this next one has us on pins and needles. But let's cut right to the chase. Sharp objects in Halloween treats. There have been reports of razor blades in apples and in candies for decades. This is definitely the most image-conjuring case of tampered treats. I don't know if you guys watched the new Chucky,
No.
the new series.
No.
I just keep seeing the image in my head. But this little boy, there's a razor blade sticking out of this apple. When he looks at it, he stares at it. He knows exactly what it is, and then he just bites into it because he's
Ow.
a psychopath. Anyways, all right. On research, a picture kept coming up of a Canadian police officer holding up an apple with a razor blade stuck in it, dated 1968. And this is part of a short video showing several tampered apples. Tampered apples.
From Minnesota.
But no corresponding story accompanied it. Several reports have been turned in about blades, pins, and needles in fruits, popcorn balls, and candy. Ooh, popcorn balls. That was another one that I was like, ugh. Anyways.
What? I have popcorn balls in my pantry right now. I really like them.
You put them popcorn balls in your mouth? Sorry.
It depends on whether or not they have a razor blade.
But despite all
Only.
the reports and evidence, I only put them in my mouth. But despite all the reports and evidence, most police, newspapers, and independent researchers have come to the same conclusion. It's a hoax. Seemingly all cases investigated revealed that the children themselves placed the blades in their candy to either prank their parents or gain attention. And even in most cases where a sharp object was found in candy, it was almost always placed there by someone they knew as a prank. Prank, quote unquote. Quote.
If someone you know puts razors in your food as a prank, you should probably not be friends with them
Get
anymore.
better friends.
Yeah, agreed.
Luckily, to this day, there have been no reports of serious injuries caused by sharp objects and candies. See, I've never been motivated enough. I don't want to take the time. I don't even want to go to the store and buy the crap. I don't even want to deal with trick-or-treaters, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean,
how many trick-or-treaters come to your house?
None.
Yeah, I figured.
Because of the hill and
Because of
everything.
the hill.
It's a dead end, so they don't want to go down there anyway. Anyways, although that does not mean that this doesn't happen at all. In 2019, 37-year-old Jason Rax was arrested when razor blades were found in the bottom of the bags of trick-or-treaters in Waterbury, Connecticut. The razors were loose in the bag and not inserted into any Halloween treats. He was charged with risk of injury to a minor, reckless endangerment, and interfering with a police officer, and held on a $250,000 bond.
Wow.
Yeah. Rax claimed that the razors were accidentally spilled into the candy bag, and when asked if he wanted to hurt the kids, he responded, "I would not have put the blades in the candy bags, but inject the candy with drugs."
Sir,
That's
you are
where
not
we
helping
need to
your
go.
case.
Right.
That does not make them believe that you accidentally put the razors in there. No. I wouldn't have put razors loose in a bag. That's stupid. I would have just injected the candy itself with drugs.
Yeah.
I'm not an idiot.
Not a monster. Jeez. Another case occurred in Salisbury, North Carolina, where a 12-year-old boy received minor injuries after biting into a Snickers bar and discovering a needle inside. A different child also received tampered candy but was not injured. Police followed the trail back to an 11-year-old who was visiting relatives and handing out the tampered candy. Felony charges were filed against the 11-year-old and was referred to the Rowan County Juvenile Court after receiving a mental evaluation.
So it was another kid putting this stuff in the
Yeah.
candy.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Because kids are a-holes.
Because kids are psychopaths, dude.
They are.
Yeah.
I say this all the time. I did find it interesting that there was like felony charges like immediately. I didn't find out if he ever got sentenced or anything. I mean, they wouldn't release his name for obvious reasons, but he did go to court. And considering they're charging him with a felony, then he probably did some time in juvie. But yeah, that's just one we've heard about constantly growing up. It's just, any kind of tampered candy, but mostly the sharp objects or
Right.
anything like that. But luckily, it doesn't seem like there's been very many cases, definitely not the widespread thing, because like newspapers every year are just like, hey, look at your kids' candy this year, and it's just like, okay, but you're not going to find anything.
Yeah. I mean, I will, like, if it's unwrapped. Yeah, that goes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
But, I mean,
that's how I am.
that's just hygienic more than anything else.
Right. That's just like this could. Where has this been stuck to?
Yeah, I mean, especially since
Yeah.
COVID's still a thing right now, so.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
wondering how that's going to go this year.
Yeah.
Trick or treating.
I did get some more candy. Last year I didn't get any, and as I mentioned on previous episode, I ate all of it, and that's how I got the cavity in my tooth.
I am getting to the age now where I would like to hand out candy.
Yeah.
Used to, I wouldn't mess with it, but I can see how you'd be excited about it because you actually dress up.
Yeah, I actually have a costume, and
Right.
they're actually scary costumes that freak out little kids, which is hilarious to me. So, but I give them handfuls of candy, so good candy. I don't give them like
You give them the good stuff.
oh yeah.
Well, I guess last year technically was, but my parents are going to the Smoky Mountains this weekend, so they're not here. But typically my parents and we and the kids all dress up and like theme together. And we'll do
that's
like
cool.
a trunk or treat, give out candy. But like one year, it was like a vampire theme, and my dad, for my daughter, because she was the vampire, he like built a coffin for her to like lay in.
Oh wow.
Wow.
They're at like our little trunk or treat. Like we decorate the whole area. I mean, my family goes all out typically.
That's awesome.
No, you'd get along with.
But they're
Darren
going
great.
to Smoky Mountains, so we're not doing that this year.
I'm boring. I'm boring. I
Yeah.
don't decorate for. I don't decorate for Halloween. I don't do Christmas.
Well, see, I don't really decorate for Halloween, but that's mostly because Halloween decorations are super expensive.
Yeah, that is true. You got to get them the day after, dude.
Yeah.
Next year.
I do a little bit. I mean, I'm starting my
we do
collection.
that. Like after, we'll go buy a ton of stuff that's like on clearance.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then my parents they have 2 houses, and at one of their houses, like one whole room is just holiday decorations, like tons of totes of holiday decorations. It's ridiculous. Like they have
That's
way too
awesome.
much stuff. But there's like a huge, collection of stuff that if you need something, they've likely got it.
Yeah, that's
So
and one day that crap will all be yours, and you're gonna have to sort through it.
no, I'll just donate it all.
Donate
They
it to
have
me.
so much stuff.
Yeah.
They're both pack rats. They have so much stuff. It's ridiculous.
Well, they sound very festive, for
They
sure.
are. They're extremely festive.
Well, let's continue with our next type of Halloween sadism, of which the first case happened all the way back in 1812. A young girl received what looked to be a delicious apple from a local farmer's wife. The girl cut up the apple and enjoyed the delicious fruit, but soon the girl fell over and appeared to be dead. A funeral was held for the girl, but the family was unwilling to bury her in the ground out of sight.
That must have been a really good apple.
Yeah, right. So they kept the girl's body in a glass coffin and put her to rest above the ground in the nearby woods. Soon after, a young man, who is handsome but also a huge creep, decided to kiss the body of the presumed dead girl. But the kiss woke up the young girl and went to live with the boy in his castle. That girl's name was Snow White.
We got just to like the delicious apple. I started thinking of Snow White. I didn't even read. I didn't read this far ahead either. Like
That's
I skimmed
good.
over everything, but I was like, "This sounds like Snow White," and then you kept going, and I'm like, "This still sounds like Snow
Wow,
White."
it's very detailed.
I raised an eyebrow when it said a handsome. I was like, what does him being handsome have to do with anything?
It's because he was a handsome prince, Gary. It's part of the story. Okay, but for real, let's talk about poison candy. The concept of these toxic treats have roots all the way back in the Industrial Revolution, where the U.S. Bureau of Chemistry tested hundreds of kinds of candy in response to claims that the candy was poison. But no evidence of poison was found, and the candy-related illnesses were attributed to indigestion and food poisoning due to poor hygiene or other food contaminating the candy. So it's basically like, candy's not poison, your kids are just gross.
And kids are gross.
Man, I'm just on a huge kid-hating rant this episode. The rumors of strangers giving out poison confectionaries may have its roots in the cultural shifts of the 1960s, in which there was greater racial integration and young people were starting to reject the societal roles given to them. This shift may have made the stiffer and possibly racist older generation uncomfortable with strangers and therefore caused a mistrust and even fear with their children interacting with their neighbors, an activity these children would do on Halloween. So just like all folklore and urban legends, you can trace it back to the culture of the time.
Gotcha.
Sociologist Joel Best of the University of Delaware published a study in 1985 titled The Razor Blade and the Apple: The Social Construction of Urban Legends. Best collected newspaper reports of alleged candy tampering from 1958 to 1982, and out of this 24-year period, he found 76 reported cases, of which only 20 involved injury of any kind, and a few of those were revealed to be hoaxes.
Basically, similar to sharp objects, poison candy seems to be even more of a myth, with even fewer, if any, verifiable cases. But before we blame the media for blowing the poison candy myth out of proportion, the media has actually reported very little on this. It seems the primary spread of this urban legend is through word of mouth, although there have been some realish cases that helped fuel this fire.
You know, media does report on this every once in a while, but it's not like something that they blew out of proportion. It was just in the zeitgeist of the time, especially around Halloween. In 1959, dentist William Shine actually did give out poison candy, if you consider laxative a poison. He was promptly charged with public indecency and unlawful dispensing of drugs.
Wait, public indecency?
Yeah, I don't know where that's what he was charged. I don't know what it stemmed from, but maybe something else. But
so I know someone who's had that happen to them. So I have
just
an aunt and
pee
uncle,
on the side of the road.
No, they have 4 kids, and the youngest one was the one who would always be taking everybody's candy and eating everything, and she liked to eat a lot. So she kept taking the other one's candy, and so they switched it out with the chocolate laxative bars.
Oh.
And she
That's
got
good.
so sick from that, and they all said they got beat over it.
Oh, see, I thought you
But
were
that it was
talking about
well worth that whipping.
The way you
to
set
do
that
that
up,
to the younger sister.
I thought you were setting it up that you knew somebody that got a public indecency
No,
charge.
no, about the laxative candy.
Yeah, I was wondering where it was going. I was like,
Yeah.
it could be one of the two things, but
Yeah.
No, laxative candy.
well, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I've never had any chocolate laxative. I don't even know if it tastes good. Probably not, right?
I don't think I've ever eaten
I've tried the
laxative
root
chocolate
beer,
before.
the root beer flavored laxative.
The root beer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's a root beer flavored.
That sounds disgusting.
Probably was.
Probably.
Been years.
I feel like if it was truly disgusting, you would have remembered it. So it must not been that bad.
You're right. It's probably just.
You just need
like
sugar-free
a
gummy bears. That'll take care of it.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Or the sugar-free Reese's peanut butter cups. They're delicious. Man. I can eat like the whole bag of those little things at once, and then I really regret it for like the next 3 days.
2 pounds of sliced apples, dude. That was a bad idea,
dude. That's so much fiber.
That was a lot. Like I delivered propane to a food pantry, and she let me go shopping, and I got 2 pounds of sliced apples, and I ate them all within 30 minutes.
Good Lord,
dude! In 2 hours.
That's bad.
Anyways, all right, continue.
The real events of the Chicago Tylenol murders also contributed to the legend. In 1982, in Chicago, 7 people died as a result of taking Tylenol that had been laced with potassium cyanide. The mystery of these poisonings were never truly solved and occurred during September and October of that year, causing parents to be extra cautious with their children's candy on Halloween. That makes sense. I mean, there's a mass poisoner about.
That's just rat poison, right?
I think so. Actually, that's a good question. I didn't look it up. But we'll get to some more potassium cyanide here in a second. Several famous cases of Halloween candy poisoning were later revealed to be false, such as the 1970 death of 5-year-old Kevin Toston, whose family claimed that heroin was sprinkled in the boy's Halloween candy and that he died as a result of ingesting it. The poor child did indeed die due to consuming heroin, but the drug came from his uncle's stash, and the family was attempting to cover for the uncle.
Wow.
Yeah, right. I mean, if one of my family members killed my kid by just leaving,
there's no way in hell
I wouldn't cover for him. Yeah,
no,
I definitely wouldn't cover for him.
How dare you kill my kid? That was my job, you SOB.
That was my heroin.
That was my heroin.
And you just left it out.
Yeah.
Another more malicious case of poisoning was the death of Timothy O'Brien. The child went trick-or-treating accompanied by his father, Ronald O'Brien, and decided to eat some of his candy before bed. The father helped him choose a pixie stick. The powder wasn't coming out, so Ronald held loose in the powder, and his son then consumed the candy. Timothy complained that it tasted bitter and began vomiting and convulsing. Unfortunately, the child died en route to the hospital. It was soon discovered that the poisoned pixie stick did not come from a stranger's house, but from the father, Ronald O'Brien, who poisoned his own son to collect life insurance. Ronald also gave the potassium cyanide-laced candy to his daughter and 3 other children to cover up his crime, but luckily the other children never ate the candy.
It's because pixie sticks are disgusting. Sorry.
Especially this one. He was convicted of capital murder in 1975 and executed in 1984. This heinous Halloween poisoning earned O'Brien the nicknames the Candyman and the Man Who Killed Halloween. So yeah, that's messed up.
That's really messed up.
The part that really got me was he was like, here, take this pixie stick, and they couldn't get it out. So he was like, here, let me loosen the candy inside the pixie stick for you. Like he's had all these opportunities. How many times
he thought about it? Yeah.
Exactly.
And
all these
still
opportunities.
Decided to keep doing it.
Yeah, at any point could he just stopped and was like, why am I doing this? It's kind of messed up. But he just kept going nonstop and even gave it out to other kids. So that's like pretty much the only true actual case of Halloween poisoning in candy, but it's done by a family member, unfortunately. One of the possible reasons why poison candy is such a prevalent belief might be that many people will read or hear about the initial story about Halloween sadism, but will not read the follow-up story in which the real cause was discovered.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of rumors get started, is newspapers will report them, and then people just never read the follow-up because it's not as interesting. So the bottom line is, Halloween sadism is real, somewhat, but the cases of strangers handing out tampered candy are extremely slim, and that 99.99999% of Halloween candy is safe for your child to eat. There has never once been a case of a child dying due to tampered candy received while trick-or-treating. This urban legend along with other myths like higher kidnapping rates on Halloween, spurred the creation of a new Halloween activity, trunk or treat, which shelters children go to church parking lots to trick or treat safely. The lots are lined with cars with open and often decorated trunks, and each trunk is manned by a church member who hands out non-poison candy without even one razor blade.
Not a single razor blade among the
No.
candy.
How boring. No, I'm just kidding.
So yeah, I was wondering, is it just supposed to be an inconvenience? Because it's obviously not meant to kill.
No, yeah, it's supposed to be just, just to cause some pain, hence the sadism part of it. But yeah, there's never been any. There's been injuries, but they've all been minor.
What fun is that? Not witnessing it, and then like sadism, the joy of seeing it happen.
Well, maybe it's just the thought that you did it.
Huh.
But
sitting there at home after you've handed out all the candy, like
cackling to yourself and rubbing your hands.
Some kids are getting hurt right now, and it's all because of me.
Bunch of bleeding tongues.
I always just picture it like getting stuck in the roof of your mouth, and I'm just like, oh,
it's like Crunch.
That's a terrible thought.
Even sharper.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say it's sharper than Captain Crunch, but
yeah. Similar rumors have surfaced about drug dealers putting LSD in temporary tattoos, which are then given out to children in order for the dealers to gain new customers by getting the kids hooked to LSD as they put the tampered tattoos on their skin. That's actually pretty clever.
Well, supposedly.
Although LSD can be absorbed through the skin, there is a problem with putting the drug in temporary tattoos. You have to wet the tattoo in order to apply them. This would, at best, dilute the LSD, if not just totally negate the effects. There has never been a single... Idea. How do you know, Lindsay?
You just said it was a good idea, but then it said it's really not because it's diluted.
That's true. Touché. There has never been a single verifiable case for LSD temporary tattoos.
Plus, LSD is not even chemically addictive, so how are you going to bring in new customers if it's not?
And how would they
addictive?
Know? Like,
yeah, well, how would I guess they find you?
Know. Yeah, like how would they even know who it was that gave them that?
Is LSD acid?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. I'm a
little bit rusty.
90% sure. But yeah, these were like I think they were like the blue star tattoos. So watch out, parents. If you have a blue star tattoo in your kid's Halloween bag, you got to throw it out. It's laced with LSD. So I will also be on the lookout for
We're going to go to Walmart tomorrow and see a bunch
I will be keeping a close eye for those.
A bunch of parents with blue star tattoos, temporary tattoos on. That's a joke. Because never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
So yeah, definitely not the best recruiting tactic. So enjoy those sugary sweets until your teeth fall out, as mine did. And as for drugs and candy, no one is spending thousands of dollars to make perfect recreations of name brand candy that is actually laced with drugs. Drug dealers typically do not give out their product for free. Although weed candy does exist, there is the possibility that it might be given out accidentally. So I guess watch out for that special candy because that candy is for the parents to enjoy. But definitely keep an eye out for witches with pans full of hot coins. They'll get you. We are now at the section covering animal cruelty. So if there's something you would like to not hear about, just skip ahead of it. Halloween has its roots in the ancient pagan Gaelic festival of Samhain, spelled Samhain, but not pronounced Samhain. A celebration marking the end of the harvest season and the beginning of the darker months of winter. Samhain was marked by large gatherings and feasts, and it was the time when the souls of the dead would enter the world of the living.
I'm just curious. Did you listen to figure out how to pronounce that? Did you listen to something?
Yeah, I've heard it a few times before on other podcasts. And
my mind cannot wrap my head around you reading it that way and then reading it on this thing that way. Samhain, and then you're saying Samhain.
Yeah, Samhain.
I've always pronounced it Samhain.
Yeah.
Samhain.
I'm not sure if there's an actual this is how you say it, because I'm pretty sure the language it's based off of has been long dead, so it's kind of like Latin, no one knows how you actually pronounce it, so they just make their best guess.
It's just
I think I joined a pagan church a long time ago, and it was for a couple different reasons. Like, for one, I was interested, but I'm a very curious person, and I like to know what goes on. And things that I don't know about, so I joined because I want to know what the hell they did.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I did the full year and a day of studying it so that I could go through a dedication weekend to know what they do in a dedication weekend.
Oh, wow.
Like, I am a dedicated person
I was gonna
to
say that's
studying.
dedication.
Like,
Sounds like,
Yeah.
yeah.
legit. It was wild. I can't tell you what happened because you're sworn to secrecy. But I did see things that I cannot explain.
Oh,
It was very mind
interesting.
blowing.
How do they pronounce it?
Yeah.
Samhain. Is how
Okay,
they
we'll
pronounce
go with
it.
Samhain
Yeah,
then.
Samhain.
I
I had to
just
think
don't
about
agree
it
with the
though.
spelling.
I figured they have the biggest authority
Hmm.
out of all of us. That's cool though.
This festival would also involve sacrifices, an offering of plants or animals to the powers of darkness to keep them at bay for another year. Legend has it that this practice has carried into the modern day, and that on Halloween, satanic cults are sacrificing black cats to the devil. Now I've heard of that.
I think I've heard a little bit of it, but I don't think that's
I don't
more
think that's
one
true.
I grew up with. Well, I guess we'll find out.
I mean, in the Satanic Church, they're traditionally like they believe in not harming anything.
right, yeah, and
So I can't imagine they would do that.
and yeah,
Now maybe
that
fake
stems out.
ones, but I don't think
Right,
the real
yeah,
ones
that
would.
stems out to the Church of Satan. That stems out to Wiccans. And
Yeah.
other pagan followings. It's like their number one rule is just do not harm. So
Yeah.
Many animal shelters will bar the adoption of black cats in the days leading up to Halloween. That's smart. In 1999, the director of animal placement for the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, Hetty Litke, would even go on record saying,
This is a time when blood rituals take place. Black cats are often sacrificed.
Litke then relayed a creepy account about a woman who adopted a black cat.
We called 2 days later to check on the cat, and she told us the cat was dead.
The woman wouldn't tell the ASPCA how the cat died, but said workers could pick up the body.
When we got there, she was gone, and so was the cat. Litke said, all we found was an empty apartment. We never found the body.
ooh, spooky.
Many shelters report increased demand for black cats in the weeks leading up to the spooky holiday. In 1997, shelter workers at the Brooklyn Animal Resource Coalition in Williamsburg were on high alert when a woman dressed as a witch came in and insisted on adopting a black cat. We told her no, said BARC Vice President Vinny Spinola. Oh, Vinny Spinola. Yo, we told her no.
Vinny Spinola.
We told her no. Said BARC, whose shelter receives more than a dozen requests for black cats each Halloween and also has issued a temporary hold on black cat adoptions. We knew she only wanted the cat for a Halloween ritual.
When I was writing this, I literally it didn't even occur to me that was like the most Italian American name of all time, and that you would do a voice for it. But I'm glad it worked out that way. But why black cats? In most Western cultures, black cats can be considered symbols of bad luck or evil omens, as well as good luck. Dual nature, just like many beings in folklore. With their piercing eyes, nocturnal and slinking nature, and the fur the color of death, one can see why the overly superstitious or the overly religious would consider these inky felines otherworldly. They have a historical perception of being evil fairies in disguise, familiars of witches and demons, and of being an integral tool of witchcraft. Witches often transform themselves into black cats and other dark animals according to the lore. These misguided beliefs led to mass cat burnings in Europe from the Middle Ages all the way up to the 1800s as a form of protection from evil as well as sadistic entertainment. So this I had no idea about at all. I didn't know people just threw cats on a pile and burned them in mass. That is messed up.
I know that they do that to dogs.
Who does that to dogs?
On Facebook, there's always that one friend that shares videos you don't want to watch.
Yes.
But you hit play on it, like you see a dog and you're like, oh, okay, I'll look at this video. And I remember seeing one of these dogs getting burnt. And
that's messed up.
Oh man, never mind.
It reminds me of Rotten.com.
Right.
Did you remember that?
No, yeah, I don't remember that.
That's from I've definitely heard about it. I had no.
It's like Faces of Death.
It was
Yeah.
like the first
Rotten.com.
thing I ever did on the internet was
Oh no.
become addicted to Rotten.com.
You are desensitizing yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen like videos of people like rescuing dogs from like butcher processing facilities over in like China and stuff. So regardless, I think we can all agree. You know what? I'm going to take a bold stance here, and I'm probably going to receive hate for it, but I don't think we should torture,
Animals.
eat, or kill dogs.
I said animals, but I meant everything but cows and chickens and pigs.
And and most other animals that are delicious.
They're delicious. So the folklore has evolved from killing cats as a form of protection from evil to sacrificing cats in order to invoke evil. But is any of this really true? Well, the unfortunate truth is that there are sick people who torture and kill animals, and cats are the prime victims of this. And it is also true that the demand for black cats does go up around Halloween. But there's no real evidence that cases of animal torture or killings occur more in October than any other month of the year. Most of the evidence is anecdotal at best. I'm just thinking, like, when I have a black cat run out in front of me while I'm driving, that freaks me out.
Well, yeah, because
I'm superstitious.
the whole bad luck thing, and that's been a
it
thing
just
for
does me because I don't want to hit it.
True. Yeah.
If you hear about an animal killing in June, you may not really make any other connections. However, if you hear about an animal killing in October, you might make a connection between the killing and the holiday of Halloween and attribute it to the occult. As Michael F. Ryan, an investigator with the Baltimore State's Attorney's Office, who has advised police departments on the practices of devil worshippers, had this to say on the matter. It's no more significant than a white dog, a brown dog, or a polka-dotted kangaroo, he said. The more attention to people... Wait, I messed that up. The more attention people give to this myth, it just helps to ride along on a wave that takes on a life of its own. It's just not there.
I'm getting a real...
I'd like to take off sunglasses. Okay, sorry.
About time, I'm getting a real Rorschach from Watchmen vibes. But, I kind of lost a little bit when you said polka dotted kangaroos. Kind of ruined the vibe a little bit.
Now, the reason why the demand for these dark felines rises in October is due to the same reason why the demand for rabbits rise around Easter time. They're either used as a holiday prop, or they might be a festive impulse buy. Either way, it is still a good idea for shelters to defer black animal adoptions until November. I'd like to test that.
Yeah.
I want to call the animal shelter tomorrow and say, hey, do you guys have any black cats for adopt?
I actually... When I went to research into this, I literally had no idea about either the black cat sacrifice, alleged black cat sacrifice, or the bar on adoption on black cat adoptions. I was talking to Susan about it. She's like, "Oh yeah, they do that all the time."
Huh.
So yeah,
because I was just thinking about maybe they. I don't know.
But Gary, if you go in looking for a black cat and they have one, and they just like wait till November, you have to adopt it because you already came in and you're interested. So
no.
And you've gotten that cat's hopes up.
Yeah. Oh man, he's like, man, come
I'm gonna give it
November.
a home, and then it never gets its home.
Oh.
Yeah, Gary.
That's so sad.
Hey, now.
You sick man. Now, while we're talking about animal adoptions, let's dispel another myth, that black animals in shelters are less likely to be adopted. This is simply not true. According to research done by the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, while black cats do come into shelters more often than any other color cat, black cats actually have some of the highest adoption rates. So it kind of balances out. They're the most going in, but they're also the most going out. Now, this might vary depending on the region and on the shelter, but the data that we have points towards black cats actually being the cat's meow. You're welcome.
Similar to this, an email chain was sent out 2012 claiming that Halloween was National Kill a Pit Bull Day and urged pit bull owners to keep their beloved pitties inside. This was in fact an anonymous satirical prank aimed at Terry Jordan, a councilman of Slater, Missouri, who helped develop a vicious animal ordinance aimed specifically at the pit bull breed. The ordinance was later changed to what Jordan described as a vicious dog ordinance, not a pit bull specific ordinance.
So yeah, this politician took aim at pit bulls, and then pit bull owners made this post. It's like, oh, it might as well be National Kill a Pit Bull Day. So I thought that was pretty funny, and I'm
Yeah.
glad it's not actually National Kill a Pit
Right.
Bull Day. These legends really rode upon the waves of the satanic panics that occurred throughout the 80s and 90s, spurred on by proven frauds like Mike Warnke. He was definitely a character. Last Podcast on the Left has a great little series on him if you're interested, but he's basically just like the biggest pathological liar you would ever meet. These panics, though, were taken extremely seriously, especially by law enforcement, even culminating in a 50-page document called Satanic Cult Awareness. Written by Galen W. Hurst and Robert L. Marsh, this document was created to act as a manual for law enforcement to be aware of and recognize, quote, satanic cult activity. You can actually still find this document on the official Office of Justice Programs government website. The reality is that this alleged widespread occult activity is non-existent, and the police were essentially on a ghostly goose chase for decades. Although I am sure there were isolated incidents that matched the satanic cult criteria, the vast majority of it was either teens messing around at Halloween or total fabrication. During the satanic panic, D&D and metal were huge indicators of satanic activity. Yeah, it's literally in the manual. By that criteria, I would definitely be considered a Satanist, because those are two of my favorite things. And yet, fears of satanic cults that abduct and sacrifice people exist to this day. We might just take a look at that occult awareness manual in a future episode, and maybe even cover the satanic panic as a whole. That's definitely a gigantic topic, so we'll see.
Now, every year we get a story about the police getting called out to investigate a dead body in a yard, only to find out that it's just a morbid Halloween decoration. Halloween is a celebration of the macabre.
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 R is silent. Don't
I
ask
am
me why.
done with words. This is BS. Why is there an R in it? Just like in the Sam Hain. Why is there an M in there?
Alan.
God.
Why is there an S at the end of Arkansas?
Well, you could say Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Arkansas. Anyways. Okay. Sorry. Continue.
Halloween is a celebration of the macabre, so it is the perfect opportunity for the more exuberant neighbors to push the envelope when it comes to festive decor. Bloody remains, scattered bones, and hanging corpses are somewhat the norm. But what about the opposite? This next legend is a simple one. Halloween decorations that turn out to be actual bodies. Are we going to debunk this myth as well?
I did see a couple pictures of a guy's Halloween decorations that people call the cops on him all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah. Some people go all out and they like wrap trash bags up with duct tape and they put stuff inside to make it look like bodies.
He had a guy hanging from his roof, like he had blood down the roof, like he was. Yeah, it was crazy. Anyways, unfortunately, no. This legend is real and is actually somewhat common. The case that seemed to garner the most media attention and may have even started these legends, quote unquote, occurred in October of 2005 in Frederica, Delaware. The body of a 42-year-old woman was suspended from a tree by a busy road in public view for hours. Many people noticed the corpse but assumed it to be a Halloween prop. Eventually, police arrived on scene and discovered that this was actually the result of a tragic death by suicide.
So yeah, this definitely not an isolated incident. Happens
I could see
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but it happens.
It would be a perfect time for like serial killers and stuff to, like, you know how people put like scarecrows on tractors and
right.
Like just put their corpse up there and put a pumpkin on its head, and you can store it for a month, you know, figure out what you're going to do with it.
Store it for a month. In the cold autumn air.
Yeah.
Gary, you're not allowed to back in my house for the rest of autumn. Sadly, there have been several instances of these cases, even as recent as October of 2020. We know this is a bummer of a topic, so we'll move on quickly. But if you're having suicidal thoughts, please know that help is available. I'll leave a link to the Suicide Prevention Lifeline website in the show notes of this episode. But yeah, that's one of the urban legends that's not actually a legend. So definitely thought I would include that one.
But now let's get to the really spooky stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff that made us poop ourselves when we were
the stuff
shaking.
That you listen to this podcast for.
Yeah. Some Halloween legends we can relay to you as spooky stories. But before that, let's briefly look into the mirror for our honorable mention. The Legend of Bloody Mary. Now, it's only an honorable mention because Darren already did a whole minisode dedicated to this female phantom, but we'll briefly discuss her here.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did. Like a boss.
Bloody Mary has her roots in captromancy. Captromancy?
Yeah,
Is that how you say
sounds
that?
right.
Captromancy.
that's how I said it.
Practice of divination using a mirror. The ritual as we know it today seems to have started in the early 1970s and consists of staring into a mirror in a dimly lit room and chanting Bloody Mary usually 3 or 13 times. 3 or 13?
Yeah, it's somewhere between theirs. It's the usual ones, but the 13 times sounds exhausting.
Yeah, I think I always did it 3 times.
Yeah, I've
Nothing
always
ever
heard
happened.
it as 3, but I'm sure in some various regions there's 13 times. But
This causes the titular apparition to appear in the mirror. She's been known to appear as a flesh and blood witch, a corpse, or a ghost, and screams at the participants or even scratches out their eyes. She
you
never
guys
did that
ever?
to me.
Yeah, about to say, have you guys
I've
ever
that
done
a ton
the?
of times.
I
was always the friend at sleepovers that would be the only one that would do it.
It's kind of like the thing with we'll do the tarot readings and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but we'll just refuse to do the Ouija board just in case.
Yeah, just in case.
It's kind of like that with me. I just don't. I don't know.
You don't want to see Bloody Mary, is what you're trying to say.
I just don't want to risk it. Yeah.
Did you ever see Bloody Mary, Lindsay?
No.
No.
Doesn't your eyes make it just like F with you and like?
Yeah, I
No.
basically go into the quote science of it in that minisode. So if you're
okay, yeah, I'm probably listening.
But yeah, the low lights, and your basically the low light, and you look in your reflection. There's low light, and your brain is constantly looking for patterns. But due to you staring at yourself for a long time and the low light, it will almost cause your face to like shift and stuff because it doesn't know what else to do. It's constantly
Kinda
looking
like
for
magic
new information.
eye books, like the way
Yeah,
it
yeah.
goes, and
Your brain is constantly looking for new information. So if it sees the same thing over and over again, especially in shadowy light, then it'll cause it. It'll look for more information where there is none, and it'll cause like a little optical illusion. So if you are interested in hearing more, definitely go check out that minisode, although it is some of our earliest work, so it may be a little rough. I actually did the Bloody Mary thing too when I was researching the minisode. I didn't see anything. I didn't even see my face shift at all. But a little part of me was like, oh, thank God.
I'm proud of you because I seriously thought you would have like avoided that.
We did it 3 times, so maybe it really is the 13 times. Maybe that's why we didn't see her.
Why didn't
that
we
could
do
be
that
the problem,
Eureka?
yeah, because I've always done it 3.
Why didn't we do that at the Crescent Hotel?
Well, we're looking for the Ghost of the Crescent Hotel. We weren't looking for Bloody Mary.
I know. We should have done some creepy stuff.
Ghost at Crescent Hotel. Ghost at Crescent Hotel. Ghost at Crescent Hotel.
Well, what was her name? Was it like Loretta or something like that? That's whose room we stayed in. I can't remember.
Dang name.
But honestly, we probably should have brought like a Ouija board. I'd do it there.
Should have.
I'm not doing it
I
in my
would do
house,
it.
but I would do it there. And I'm not keeping the Ouija board.
You're leaving it there?
Yeah, I'll leave it there. So the next guests will come in, they'll like look around and be like, what the hell is a Ouija board? Just
I
freak
think
them
I
out a
have
little bit
like
more.
a
Put it in the
Parker Brother
fireplace?
Ouija board.
Oh, there
somewhere.
you go. Yeah.
I got
Put it in
one
the
for
fireplace?
Christmas one year when I was a teenager.
Because there was a fireplace.
It's a
in our
great
room.
Christmas gift. Ouija
Oh, I
board.
bet.
Did you ever use it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Did anything ever happen? Did you make contact?
No, nothing that's memorable enough for me to remember now.
Did you
Oh,
open
that's
up
fair.
any portals?
We actually did cover the Ouija board in an earlier episode too, so check it out. We're just going to keep plugging our episodes all throughout this. All right. And now it is time for some hair-raising Halloween tales. It's time for spooky stories.
Spooky stories.
This first story comes to us from Spooky Campfire Tales by S.E. Schlosser. It should be familiar to you, perhaps a little too familiar. The reports had been on the radio all day, although she hadn't paid much attention to them. Some crazy man had escaped from the state asylum. They were calling him the Hook Man since he had lost his right arm and had replaced it with a hook. He was a killer, and everyone in the region was warned to keep watch and report anything suspicious. But this didn't interest her. She was more worried about what to wear on her dates. After several consultation calls with friends, she chose a blue outfit in the very latest style and was ready and waiting on the porch when her boyfriend came to pick her up in his car. They went to a drive-in movie with another couple, but then dropped them off and went parking in the local Lover's Lane. The blue outfit was a hit, and she cuddled close to her boyfriend as they kissed to the sound of romantic music on the radio. Then the announcer came on and repeated the warning she had heard that afternoon. An insane killer with a hook in place of his right hand was loose in the area. Suddenly, the dark, moonless night didn't seem so romantic to her. The Lover's Lane was secluded and off the beaten track. A perfect spot for a deranged madman to lurk, she thought, pushing her amorous boyfriend away.
Maybe we should get out of here.
She said.
That hookman sounds dangerous.
Oh, come on, babe. It's nothing.
Her boyfriend said, trying to get in another kiss. She pushed him away again.
No, really, we're all alone out here and I'm scared.
She said. They argued for a moment. Then the car shook a bit, as if something, or someone, had touched it. She gave a shriek, and she said,
Get us out of here now!
Jeez.
Her boyfriend said in disgust, but he turned the key and went roaring out of the Lover's Lane with the screeching of his tires. They drove home in stony silence, and when they pulled into her driveway, he refused to help her out of the car. He was being so unreasonable, she fumed to herself. She opened the door and stepped into her driveway with her chin up and her lips set. Whirling around, she slammed the door as hard as she could, and then she screamed. That scared the shit out of me.
God damn.
Gary jumped. So
Dang.
I was kind of half expecting it, but I wasn't expecting it to be that loud. So I was like, ah. Her boyfriend leapt out of the car and caught her in his arms.
What is it? What's wrong?
He shouted. Then he saw it. A bloody hook hung from the middle of the passenger side door. Dun dun dun. This seems familiar to you guys, doesn't it?
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
No?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Come on. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Never heard of Hookman.
There you go.
Mm-mm.
It's one of the more famous urban legends out there. Oh, well, now you know.
Well, this, of course, is the legend of the Hookman that I've never heard of.
Very well known, yet no one's heard of Hookman.
An urban legend about a killer with a rain hat and coat that covers his appearance in the darkness, and of course, has a sharp hook for a hand. And very much like Jason Voorhees of the Friday the 13th franchise, the Hookman does not approve of salacious teens having premarital sex.
No, he does not. You've heard of Jason Voorhees, right?
I have.
Lindsay?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
He does approve of salacious teens having premarital sex because that's his favorite time to kill them.
Yeah, as a punishment for having salacious teen sex.
I guess you're right. Or he's just kind of into it.
Yeah, maybe.
Halloween sadism.
The exact origin of this urban legend is unknown, but it seems the story began to circulate in the 1950s and may have been inspired by the real-life Lover Lane slayings that occurred in Texarkana in 1946. I'm plugging another episode. We actually covered the Texarkana Moonlight Murders in our Creepy Legends of Arkansas episodes. The legend likely gained national attention when a similar story, as we just relayed to you, was published in a Dear Abby column. As for the interpretation of the legend, folklorists have a variety of speculations. Alan Dundee's interpretation is that the hook is a phallic symbol, which means penis, and the loss of the hand represents emasculation, and that the hookman attacks horny teens due to his own sexual frustration. How very Freudian of him. Other folklorists, like Bill Ellis, the hookman acts as society's morality archetype, interrupting the teens' sexual desires as they are viewed as immoral. As Ellis puts it,
The threat of the Hookman is not the normal sex drive of teenagers, but the abnormal drive of semi-adults to keep them apart. I don't know what I was going for
yes,
there.
the very French folklorist, Bill Ellis, the most French name I've ever heard. So, I mean, if you're gonna break it down, I think this would be the way to go as far as speculation. Or it could just be like, hey, these murders happened in Texarkana. Here's another story to spook people. I don't think all these urban legends are as deep as people want them to be. I think they just happen because people like stories. The Hookman is also a bit of a pop culture icon. Apparently not that much.
I was going to say, was there even a movie about him?
Yes, actually.
Oh.
With countless horror movies and tales spawning from this legend, including films like Friday the 13th, I Know What You Did Last Summer, which has a literal Hookman in a raincoat and hat.
I'm seeing a horror movie poster right now, and it's a guy with a hook that's attached to a chain, but he's holding the hook.
Yeah.
So I don't know what movie that is. But anyways,
If he's using a hook, this is the urban legend that inspired it.
got you.
The Candyman, he has a hook, and several others, perhaps even inspiring the entire slasher horror genre as a whole. Whether the particular Hookman story sounds familiar to you or not, we're all familiar with slasher flicks, and these all stemmed from the Hookman urban legend.
Huh. The Scythe, right? Is that the name?
Scythe.
Scythe.
But no, there's a hook. A scythe is the thing that Grim Reaper carries around.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah.
All right.
But the little shorter version is a sickle, which is also not a hook.
Sickle. That's what I was thinking of. Okay. Well, our final spooky story also comes to us from S.E. Slosher. This time from his work, Spooky Maryland. After a long day of unlucky hunting, I found myself stuck in the middle of the marshlands for the night, without a flashlight or a lantern to guide my stumbling steps. So I settled beside a fallen log to rest until daylight. As I tossed and turned, I recalled the story my great-uncle told me about a ghost that haunted the marshlands. There was once a man named Jack who was a nasty fellow. He beat his wife and kids and was an all-around bad chap. Jack got worse and worse as the years rolled by. But finally, Jack's body got so worn out that he died. He went up to heaven, but St. Peter refused to let such a wretched fellow in. Then he went to hell, but the devil barred the door as soon as he saw Jack coming and wouldn't let him in either. "Go away and don't come back," the devil told Jack.
How am I supposed to get back in the dark?
Jack grumbled.
Give me a lantern.
So the devil threw a chunk of molten fire out to Jack, who took it for his lantern and went back to Earth, where he wanders forever through the swamps and marshlands of the earth, a bitter spirit whose only delight was in luring the unwary to their doom with his lamp. At this juncture in my musings, I happened to look out over the marshes and noticed a blinking light in the fog.
Is that you, Jack-o'-lantern?
I called jovially.
Jack.
A voice whispered back. I was seriously spooked. I clutched my gun to my chest, the hairs on my arms standing on end. Had that been an echo of my voice, or was someone out here with me?
Who's there?
I shouted, trying to sound brave and menacing. I waved my gun around.
Show yourself at once.
Jack.
The voice hissed from a completely different section of the swamp. A light blinked on and then off, on and then off. Shudders ran up my spine at the sound of that ghastly voice coming from nowhere. I huddled up against a log, wanting something firm at my back. Suddenly, the story of the jack-o'-lantern didn't seem so funny. My heart was pounding so hard it made my chest hurt. I strained my ears in the silence that fell over the swamp.
Jack.
The voice hissed from somewhere to the left this time. The light blinked on, off, on. I counted 10 heartbeats this time before it went off. The voice sounded closer. I held very still, my instinct screaming at me to hold my breath and not move until the menace had passed. The voice came again, far off to the right.
Jack.
It hissed. The light came on, off, on, off. It's moving away, I thought, relaxing just a bit, feeling safer. There was a long silence. Nothing stirred, not the wind in the grass, not the frogs or turtles in the water, not the cricket or the night's insects. The voice hissed softly, right into my ear, and I looked up into the glowing red eyes and twisted face of the jack-o'-lantern. I screamed and lashed out at it with my gun. I ran a few steps, tripped, and fell over, knocking my head on a sharp stone. For a moment I saw stars, and I felt blood pouring from my scalp. But the jack-o'-lantern was right behind me. I had to get away. I rolled and fell into a deep pool. I plunged underneath the water, flailing desperately against rope-like grasses that tried to keep me down. My head finally burst out of the water, and I gasped desperately for air, treading water as best as I could with my trembling limbs and aching head. I heard the creature laugh in the mist.
Jack, Jack, Jack.
The voice hissed delightedly, and the light blinked on, off, on, right over my head, blinding my dazed eyes as horror flowed through me and froze my limbs so I could no longer swim. For a long moment, the grotesque face and red eyes of the jack-o'-lantern loomed out of the mist before my petrified gaze. My head started to swim with pain from my bleeding skull. The evil face above me, lit by its bright light, whirled around and around, growing dimmer as my eyes started to glaze. I was vaguely aware that I should keep swimming, keep trying to make my way to the edge of the pool, but the effort was too much for my suddenly heavy limbs. I barely noticed myself plunging down and down into the watery depths of the pool, too stunned by my injury to fight my way to the surface for a second time. Then there was only darkness and silence and a voice hissing in cold triumph.
Jack, Jack, Jack.
All right, so fun little spooky story to wrap this up.
I did like that one.
Yeah, that was a good one. I was reading it and I was like, this is perfect. Very, very Halloween themed. So this one is more just a fun ghost story than an urban legend, but it did give one brief version of the Irish legend of Stingy Jack, aka Jack of the Lantern, the origin of the pumpkin lanterns we love to carve for Halloween today. I'm going to save a more detailed exploration of this legend for a future episode. And that's it. The origin, debunking, and even the confirmation of various Halloween urban legends. If there's one we've missed, please let us know by emailing us at snipehuntpodcast@gmail.com. All right, guys. So which one did you find most interesting? Which legend?
The most interesting
Yeah.
or the most horrifying?
Yes.
Bloody Mary horrifies me,
Yeah.
but I really enjoyed the Jack story.
I think
What
I
about
like
you,
the Jack
Lindsay?
story too.
The Jack story is really good. I really like doing the research for this one. I really liked researching all the various candy myths, because there was actually a lot of information about it. And Joel Best the sociologist, went really deep into research on this. And from my research standpoint, that was definitely the most interesting one to me.
I don't know. When I think of objects and candy, I just always chalk it up to BS. Cause
Right.
You
Kind of just roll your
Yeah.
eyes a bit.
Yeah. I'm just like, I remember every time my ex-wife saying, check the candy. And I'm like, golly, like why? I mean, just kids, if it looks weird, don't eat it.
If it tastes funny, don't eat it.
No.
Don't swallow it.
Yeah. So Jacks, Marys, and other cats, if you like the show, of course you know what to do. Give us a rating on whatever app you use if it'll let you. Give us some spooky stars and just leave a creepy comment on why you like the show. Or call us a couple jerk-offs.
Gary's not salty about that at all.
I just thought it was hilarious.
That's pretty funny.
I went to show Lindsay. Please follow us on social media. Send us a message about anything. We'd love to hear from you guys. We're on Facebook, Twitter, as well as Instagram, Reddit, YouTube, and even TikTok. The links to most of those are in the show notes of the episode.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm posting on TikTok.
Yeah, you are.
Gary, despite promising, has
I will.
still yet every time we record an episode, Gary's like, yeah, I haven't done anything on there yet.
Give it time.
You have the login. You have everything you need. You have a phone. Check out our tiers on Patreon to see if you're interested in voting for future frightening episodes and or the bonus content we have on there, including early access to episodes via our raw and uncut versions, which I can guarantee are terrifying in their own way. And I will post it tonight. I won't wait like 3 days later.
No, that's fine. Whatever. That's cool.
And
Stephanie just likes to get them. She's nipping at the what would the word be? I'm trying to go back to the 50s. Nipping at the
bud, isn't it?
Nipping at the bud.
Yeah, like the bud of a rose when you nip the rose off.
There you go.
I heard it was like biting at the bit or something like that.
Oh yeah,
Like the
I've heard
horse,
that too.
the horse
Biting
analogy.
the bit. Yeah, there you go.
Lindsay, our raw and uncut episodes are just the totally unedited versions of the episode. So
Right.
every mess up we did here today, you'll be able to hear it on Patreon.
There's no the audio is how
Those
it
are the
is.
ones I want. I'm gonna have to join the Patreon.
Yeah, it's set up as a recurring fee, but you can just pay. You can pay for it once. You can get all the content, and then you can cancel it.
Exactly. That's what I did with this other podcast that I listened to. I signed up for the Patreon just so I could listen to everything, and then I just canceled it.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine.
Right.
Either way, the podcast is still getting the money, so that's always good. And as usual, if you have a topic suggestion, a question, comment, criticism, or if you have a story about Halloween or anything else, please contact us on social media or email us at snipehuntpodcast@gmail.com and let us know if you'd like to hear your story in one of our future Encounters episodes.
Lindsay, I appreciate you coming on. I really do. This is fun. Thank you. Where are you? Are you here?
You're welcome.
Oh.
Yeah, but I didn't have any green.
Yeah. There you go. No, I wasn't reading. I mean, I knew I was supposed to F it. I don't know. I do really do. I appreciate you doing this. It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, you were a great guest. So
and then you're gonna go on Quib Talk, aren't you?
I'm gonna
maybe.
Yeah.
Yes, I want him to.
Anytime they want me, I'll do it.
Yeah. So definitely check out when Gary goes on there and check it out before then as well. Let's go ahead and end on the final joke.
Oh boy.
All right. Guys, why do demons and ghouls hang out together? Gary likes to try to figure these out before I give him the punchline.
Because I know it's going to be a play on words.
Yes.
No.
You are correct.
Demons and ghouls.
This one is especially punny.
Oh, shoot. Demons and ghouls. I don't know.
I was about to say, this is great podcast material.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Demons and ghouls. Demons and ghouls.
Okay.
It's because, Gary, demons are a ghoul's best friend. You know, like diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Oh.
Demons are a ghoul's best friend.
Oh my gosh.
You're welcome. All right, guys. Have a good one. Have a happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Halloween is a celebration built on legends and rituals, so the many urban myths connected with this haunted holiday are appropriate. Luckily for us, these legends are just that, legends. They stem from the negative connotations associated with this festival of the dead that can be traced all the way back to its conception. But beware, as these urban legends are sometimes born from terrifying truth. So beware of the hook, of the hag, and watch your candy bag, as Halloween is the night of frightening folklore.
Once again, we want to thank you for listening to Snipe Hunt. Your listening has been noted and will be reported to the proper authorities. All audio used was done so under fair use.
The music you have heard in this episode was composed by Mayu, Nature World 1986, and Feslian Studios. We'll continue to search for the unexplained and hopefully see you on the next hunt. Woo! And we're done.
That was awesome.
That was
a good episode. Yeah, thanks for coming on, Lindsay.
Yeah, hope you come on again.
I was so nervous. I was like, I hate reading aloud. Oh my God, this is going to be...
But you're good at it.
No, you are really good at it.
I knew you were going to be good at it.